Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Coffee Break. It's Steve Barrett here, the editorial director of PR Week, and I'm delighted to be with Jennifer Risi, who's the founder and president of The Sway Effect. Jennifer, shall I call you Jennifer or Jen?
Call me Jen. You've always called me Jen.
Okay, Jen. Welcome to the show, and tell us a bit about The Sway Effect, because this looks like you've got an interesting new model. Tell us about the model and what led you to that system of doing business.
When I left Ogilvy, I thought I was going to be an independent consultant. And when I left, a lot of people reached out to figure out how we could collaborate. People I'd worked with in the industry for over 20 years. And quickly, and I think you were at our launch party, which seems like eons ago, which was like, I think July 2019.
Well, the days we could meet up in person.
It was about 100 degrees that day. I remember that too. But we had 6 partners when we started. We had experts in creative, brand strategy, social impact, measurement. And since then, we have grown to about 50 network partners. And so what that means is we can offer what big agencies can offer with little of the cost, much more agility. We can bring the best talent from the industry together. And I've just been really excited just how it all organically just came together, which means to me that we're doing something right, because I do think it is the model of the future, where you just bring the best talent together to do great work with not any really of the hassle in the process.
Yeah, and in a funny way, and not that we would have wished this upon us, but in a funny way, it was perfectly suited for COVID, isn't it, in the period of lockdown?
I completely agree with you. I honestly think, and I've been saying this to our team and to some of our partners, that I think I probably have done some of the best work of my career during COVID, sadly to say, or in a good way to say. But you've seen brands really have to figure out how to navigate and do things in a new and different way. We've all had to figure out new ways of working. Who knew that we could figure out how to produce great work without really ever being in the same room together? As I was saying to you a little earlier, like, I've hired people I've never met. I work with clients I've never met. And the work has been awesome. And I think the COVID's going to bring about new and different ways that we're going to work that I think is going to be here for a long time to come.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So what are the big disruptions that you think will persist then? And what is creativity and creative work going to look like? Because we've seen lots of freelance platforms. We've seen people disappear to Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or different parts of the States or wherever, and it doesn't actually matter as long as they've got a good internet connection, which, by the way, is not always guaranteed. Mine was down for half a day earlier this week. But what are the things you think will persist in the new world of work?
I think that the future of work is going to be, you have to work with your people to create the culture that your agency wants to have. There's not going to be one size fits all. Every team is going to decide how they want to work moving forward. A couple days maybe in the office, maybe most of the days working from home. I think you can probably do more without being with the client. I do think we need to be with our clients. I think we're going to be there in some way. I can tell you that we took an office space March 1st. Right before COVID broke. I think I've been there for a week, but it's a great collaborative space. We've set the space up to be a collaborative office. There's not desks, there's one big table where people can work together. And I think that'll be a place that the team can come when we have clients in town or specific things that we need to do. But I want the team to have the freedom to work whenever they want, however they want. And I think that's going to be the future of our business. I don't think you need to be in a certain location, because what COVID has proved is we can work from anywhere. And I'm seeing people do some of the best work from their house that you never thought would happen.
Yeah, for sure. Can you give us a couple of examples of the type of work you're doing and what you're achieving for clients?
So we have a very diverse client roster. I mean, I think from you and I talking over the years, I'm an expert in global media relations and corporate reputation work. And so our clients are very diverse. We have healthcare client like BD and helping them navigate the COVID, getting testing done to support getting everybody back to work within COVID. We also work with nonprofits like Anita B, which is all about promoting diversity, equity, inclusion in the tech industry, which is extremely important against the social justice movements happening right now. We're working with retail. We're working with Signet, which has an amazing woman CEO who's all about, she has half of her leadership team is women, half of her board are women. She's put a transformation plan in place that the stock went from about $5 to about 60 under the leadership of Jenna Drojas. And we're helping them tell their corporate story. And then we're working with the likes of the 4As and helping them help devise the industry and navigate what's going on amidst COVID. So it's very diverse. It's very different, but we are very much have a seat at the table more than ever. I mean, I've been working with clients for over 20 years, and I've never seen such cohesive, collaborative relationships with clients, but candidly also with our partners through our Sway Effect network, which I think is why the network has expanded as quickly as it has.
Can you tell us a few of your partners? Is that and the type of things they do and what they add to the mix?
Sure. I think you've met a couple of them. So Mitch Markson is the head of Markson IdeaCraft, which is all about brand strategy. And then we work with Good Scout, who is a social impact agency. We also work with Crant, which is a data analytics machine learning shop. And we've worked to create a new product with them called a social accelerator, which is all about helping brands to see where they stack up in social media and a live dashboard. We also work with Cheryl Overton, I know a lot of people know, with multicultural marketing and communications, Alyssa Garnick from a consumer PR perspective. So lots of great people who have left and started their own gig, and we've all kind of gravitated to each other to work on great clients.
And obviously some clients do need that sort of global boots on the ground. And do you work with other agencies as well? And can you do that with even with the big companies in certain projects?
For sure. A couple different things. So for our work with Beck & Dickinson, we work with Gray Advertising with helping to drive the work for the BD Veritor, which is the diagnostic test for COVID. But we also have other network partners. So by the network, as well as Fluid, our agencies, the other networks and agencies we work with across Europe and Asia Pacific and Latin America. We also have Paula Cardova from our side, who actually is based in Buenos Aires, part of the Sway Effect, and she's helping us drive our business in Latin America. So we actually have a geographic footprint that is the size of a lot of big agencies. But to your point, we're very adaptable, and we can work with the biggest of agency to a personal independent consultant. And that the flexibility, I think, has helped us do great work.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like, there's a lot of independent PR networks, aren't there? Global networks like iPrex and WorldCom, etc. But they tend to be more all PR agencies offering all PR around the world, whereas you seem to be having a more diverse group of skill sets that you can plug in and vice versa, depending on the client and the project.
Exactly. And we are right now in the midst of an RFP for one of our biggest clients. And when the brief came in, it's a social impact brief that's being led by our partner, Good Scout. We also brought in our creative partner, Go Do Discovery, who did Sway's branding. And we're going to be the PR agency. But I think that what the best part is we can assemble the right team to meet the brief for what the client wants. And it's a good alternative. I mean, we've been put on various rosters for brands all over the country where people have said, I've never really heard of this model before. I'd like to put you on the roster with more of our traditional agencies because it offers our clients a mix and a diversity they might not have considered before. So I'm really encouraged by the response, despite starting a business amid the pandemic.
Well, it looks like you doubled revenues last year, so that's not bad, is it?
We did. Thank you for saying that. I mean, we did, and it's been fun. We've picked up some new clients in addition over the past couple of weeks, and I'd say right now we have about 10 core clients, which is really fun. We're also launching new products, and we're going to be launching a new product suite soon called Holding Sway, which is I'm working on with Mitch. And we're putting together the Sway Effect Index, which is going to be a poll that kind of says who and what has sway at any given moment in time and who are the brand losers and winners, because we do think that the concept of holding sway is something that's extremely important. And we want to work with brands to help them figure out where they stack up against their competitors.
Yeah, Mitch is another former Ogilvy person, isn't he? And you spent a long time in the holding company world, and especially at Ogilvy. And we were chatting earlier about how they're moving out of their sort of iconic chocolate factory building in New York and moving in with Gray, actually, and BCW down near Madison Square Park. What's your reflections, having moved out of that holding company world and into the world you're in now, looking back on the challenges for holding companies and what were the major differences, of starting your own thing?
I wouldn't trade my time at Ogilvy for anything. I mean, I learned a lot. I did media relations probably in every market around the world that you possibly could do it. And I learned I learned skills that I probably wouldn't have had, and I met a great bunch of people. I think, though, where the industry is going, having the agility and having the innovation as well as the collaboration you can have in a smaller shop, I think that's what brands need today. And I think that, being able to access the best talent where sometimes might not be within the holding company or be within the agency, being independent, I can call up anybody and ask, do you want to pitch this with me? And that's kind of, I think, been a key reason as to why we've been as successful as we've been.
Yeah, it's a shame they're moving out of that building on 11th Avenue. Actually, I used to live just 2 blocks north of it. So, and it's the famous landmark pub bar, which I think you said is closing down, which is really sad. And that's one of the impacts of the building, of the businesses, not just Ogilvy moving away from that part of New York, but I'm sure it'll be rejuvenated. Moving toward a topic that's very top of mind for everyone in business and in communications, that we saw earlier this week, 500 companies making a statement about voting laws and putting a 2-page ad in the Times and the Washington Post. And purpose is clearly top of mind for communicators and brands of all types. What's your reflection on that, and how does the sway effect play into that? And what's your purpose as an agency leader?
I would say that, we really work to push our clients to be accountable. At the center of what Sway does is we put diversity, equity, inclusion at the center of everything we do. That's part of our mission. It's part of our values. And we work with brands that have very similar values that we do. And so we really work with our clients to consider beyond your business strategy. How are you thinking about D&I for this? How are you thinking about D&I for that? What are your hiring practices? And I think that, the brands that get it, it's great, but we also want to work with brands to educate them to get it. And I think that we're working with our clients to be much more accountable. And that's why I created Sway, is I wanted to create a firm that was going to work with brands that wanted to do good work and be good corporate global citizens, and actually really want to change the world and change how things are done and shake it up. And so, each and every day we work with brands that are challengers and disruptors, but we also then connect those disruptors with more of the traditional clients, so to actually teach each other. So that's one of the cool parts of my job, is I work with a lot of CEOs, and I'm able to say, okay, X CEO, why don't you meet Y CEO who actually is doing the work that you want to do? And that also helps drive the change, in addition to, how we're counseling them on a day-to-day basis, because they can see how another CEO is actually doing the work.
Yeah, I think connecting people and organizations is a really underrated part of the PR skill set, isn't it? And I think PR people are really good at that. So, and the top practitioners they're remorseless at it as well. I'm thinking of someone like Richard Edelman, or the industry leaders like Andy Polanski or even Donna Imperato. We're all very good at doing that sort of thing. So, yeah, finally, what would your advice be to someone stepping out? It's a bit of a nice little comfort blanket in a holding company in some ways. Not always very comfortable as well. There's hard parts to it. But, it's a very bold move to go out and start your own thing, and a tough thing to do. What would your advice be to anyone thinking of doing that?
Take the leap and be confident in yourself. I mean, I probably talked for a couple of years before I left that I wanted to leave and I wanted to try something different, obviously within the circles of people I knew. But I think it gets to a point where you either are just going to do it or you're not. I think I'm very entrepreneurial by nature. And all I can say is don't overthink it. Just take a chance on yourself. I think what COVID has taught us also is life is short, and you got to do what you want to do, and you got to do what you believe in. And I would just say you probably have a stronger network and support network than you ever probably thought. And that's what I've realized since I've gone out, is there's been amazing people, both client side and on agency side, that have been very helpful to me on my journey. And so I'll pay it forward and return the favor.
Yeah, I think that's another thing about the PR community. It's very supportive, isn't it? So, yeah, it's generally good people. So, all right, well, continued success, Jen. Great to see you doing well, and really interesting model. And thanks for joining us on Coffee Break.
Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it.